exploring one of the most cultural countries in the world and the home to the world's oldest continuing culture, Australia, by Aira Sasing. Australia is a widely diverse country with a great array of wonderful cultures and communities. But there is something genuinely special about this place that unites everyone. It is their unique shared spirit and the outlook that is the Australian way of life. Now, let us take a look and discover the rich history, geography, and political system of Australia. Geography of Australia. Australia is the only country in the world that covers an entire continent. It is one of the largest countries on Earth. Although it is rich in natural resources and has a lot of fertile land, more than one-third of Australia is desert. Most Australian cities and farms are located in the southwest and southeast, where the climate is more comfortable. There are dense rainforests in the northeast. The famous outback contains the country's largest deserts, where there are scorching temperatures, little water, and almost no vegetation. History of Australia. Years of research and discussion have gone into determining when the earliest humans arrived in Australia. The ancestors of Aboriginal Australians may have arrived in the northern section of Australia at least 65,000 years ago, according to the new evidence discovered by experts. Britain started a penal colony in 1788 throughout Australia. Free settlers came in increasing numbers, eventually surpassing prisoners, with a colony made up of entirely free settlers established in South Australia in 1830s. Gold in the 1850s was discovered, and the subsequent gold rush brought people from all around the world to Australia. The Commonwealth of Australia was established on January 1, 1901, after the approval of a draft constitution by Australian voters, the British Parliament. Flag of Australia. The flag of Australia has three elements on a dark blue ground: the Union Jack, the Commonwealth Star, and the Southern Cross. The Union Jack in the upper left corner acknowledges the history of British settlement. Below the Union Jack is a white Commonwealth Star. It has 7 points representing the unity of the 6 states and the territories of the Commonwealth of Australia. The star is also featured on the Commonwealth coat of arms. The Southern Cross is shown on the flag in white. It is a constellation of 5 stars that can be easily seen from the night skies of the southern hemisphere and is a reminder of Australia's geography. Forms of government in Australia. Australia has a mixed government. It has a federal government, a constitutional monarchy, and a state and territorial government. Federal or Commonwealth government. So federal or Commonwealth government is responsible for the conduct of national affairs. Its areas of responsibility are stated in the Australian Constitution and include defence and foreign affairs, trade, commerce, currency, immigration, and etc. It is comprised of 3 arms of government: the legislative, the judiciary, and the executive. Legislative. The federal legislative is composed of the House of Representatives and the Senate. Each state and territory elect 1 member to the House of Representatives and 12 members of the state, and 2 from the territories are elected to the Senate. The legislature passes legislation, debates on matters concerning public policy, and approves or disapproves government's proposals on taxation and expenditure. Judiciary. The High Court and Federal Courts make up the federal judiciary. The High Court is mandated to interpret the Constitution, resolve legal disputes between the House of Representatives and Senate, and to listen to appeals from lower courts. Executive. Executive power is exercised by the Prime Minister and the Cabinet. The Prime Minister leads the party with the majority members in the government. The Prime Minister appoints ministers who takes care of their assigned departments. The executive is in charge of policy making. The current Prime Minister of Australia is Anthony Norman Albanese, is an Australian politician serving the 31st and current Prime Minister of Australia since 2022. He has been the leader of the Australian Labor Party since 2019 and the Member of Parliament for Grandler since 1996. Components of ministry and how they achieve it. So first, the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister is the head of the government. They achieve this position by being the elected leader of the party in government. In case of a coalition government, the major party. The Cabinet. The Cabinet, consisting of senior ministers presided over by the Prime Minister, is the government's preeminent policy-making body. Parliamentary secretaries. Up to 12 members and senators are appointed by the Prime Minister as parliamentary secretaries, also referred to as assistant ministers, to assist or represent ministers in their administrative responsibilities. The list presented is the list of the different ministers of each department. The seats that I've shown on the screen was the seat of the different House of Representatives. State Government of Australia. The Commonwealth of Australia has 6 states, namely Victoria, Western Australia, New South Wales, South Australia, Tasmania, and Queensland. Each of these states has their own constitution, which provides for the legislature, judiciary, and executive divisions. Territory of Government of Australia. Territories are regions not claimed by any of the states. 3 territories have acquired the limited right to self-governance from the federal government. These territories are Australian Capital Territory, Northern Territory, Norfolk Island. The rest of the territories are governed by the Commonwealth law. Australia's form of government is also a constitutional monarchy because before Australia was a nation, it was a collection of British colonies. Each had its own written constitution, parliament, and laws. So when these colonies joined together to form Australia, a constitutional monarchy system of government was chosen for the new country, very similar to those of the colonies. The current head of constitutional monarchy is His Majesty King Charles III. He ascended to the throne on September 8, 2022, following the death of his mother, Queen Elizabeth II. In Australia, the powers of the king have been delegated by the Australian Constitution to his representative in Australia, which is the Governor-General. The current Governor-General of Australia is David Hurley. In practice, they are the Australia's head of state and have a range of constitutional and ceremonial duties. The Governor-General is also the Commander-in-Chief of the Australian Defence Force. Take a look and observe the diagram being shown because it showcases the Australian Constitution and gives you further understanding about it. In Australia, there are 2 main political parties. So, first is the Australian Labor Party and next is the Liberal Party. The Australian Labor Party. The Australian Labor Party was formed in 1890s by trade unions seeking a political voice and an increase of influence in government after the failure of the shearers and maritime strikes. Recognized as the oldest political party in Australia, Labor formed its first government in Queensland in 1899, 2 years before the Federation. The party developed as an organization to represent the interests of paid labor, that is the workers. It has significant financial support and membership from trade unions. Its strongest electoral support typically comes from inner city and industrial suburbs with populations characterized by lower incomes and blue-collar occupations. Since the 1970s, the party has been attracting broader support from middle-class professional occupation groups. Liberal Party. The present Liberal Party developed from an alliance of various free enterprise parties and was formally established in 1944 by Robert Menzies. It has a record of governing many times federally and in most states. The Liberal National Party supports a constitutional democracy and governments that are responsible to the people, dedicated to enhancing the quality of life and fostering a society that offers opportunity to all. That's all for today's video. I hope you have learned a lot from my video. Thank you.